Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, February 22, 2021. Residents of Olympic Gardens in St. Andrew are to benefit from the construction of a $16 million recreational center. Prime Minister Andrew Holness broke ground on Friday for the facility dubbed the Andrews Muse Health and Recreational Center. The facility will feature a walking and jogging trail for physical activity, an equipped playground for children, and a green space where residents can relax and socialize. Construction of the facility is scheduled to be completed within 8 to 6 weeks. Mr. Holness says the project forms part of ongoing plans to enhance and further develop the constituency of West Central St. Andrew.
The big picture that we are doing here is to create an urban space that is almost like a town center, that is functional for the people who will use it. So right in this area, right on this stretch, you have the infant school, you will have your community park, then a few lots down, you will have the clinic, which there are plans to do a total repair of that clinic. And then right beside it, you will have the Olympic Gardens police station, which will be one of the most modern police stations in Jamaica.
Prime Minister Holness says plans are also in train to build another infant school, a Golden Age home, as well as 2 additional parks in the constituency. Cabinet is to reconsider the allocation of funding for public education and promotion on COVID-19 vaccines. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the move has been prompted by increased public outcry for the COVID-19 vaccine on the island.
You will hear shortly of what that reallocation of those resources will do. We still, however, have to maintain some minimum amount of public education because, as you can imagine, the logistical efforts involved in deploying the vaccine will still require the government to communicate with the citizens time and place and availability and explain to citizens what the vaccines will do, what side effects there could be, if any. So there still has to be some budget for that.
Mr. Holness says the reallocated funds will be channeled to other areas of health, including the acquisition of vaccines. The Prime Minister, meanwhile, reiterated government's commitment to providing safe vaccines to the island.
The government is working assiduously to get supplies of vaccines here in the country. We were very careful to ensure that any vaccine that we are bringing into the country, that it has WHO approval. And that we took the time and effort to ensure that that was the case, because ultimately we want every Jamaican to feel safe taking the vaccine.
He said while the state is working assiduously to get supplies of vaccines into the country, he urged the Jamaicans to follow the protocols set out by the Disaster Risk Management Act to include wearing a mask, hand sanitizing, and abiding by the public gathering limit. Meanwhile, the government has allocated over $5 billion that will cover the cost of procuring COVID-19 vaccines for the vaccination of approximately 2 million persons. In addition, the Ministry of Health and Wellness is to expend some $978 million on other resources to ensure a successful national vaccination program. Among the spend, 30% or $285,957,661 will be used to procure 3.5 million syringes, and another 25% or $232 million will be spent on hiring 80 temporary staff across the 4 regional health authorities. 6% or $54,375,000 is to be spent on upgrading the web-based vaccine management system, an inventory application that tracks the movement of vaccines across the island and produces reports on demand and uptake. Other major line items in the national COVID-19 vaccination budget include a 5% expenditure or $46,200,000 on overtime and other staff benefits, and another $36 million will be spent on data management. In other news, the Bank of Jamaica BOJ is projecting a lower inflation outcome over the next 8 quarters, starting March this year to December 2022. Governor Richard Biles says this will average 5%, which is within the targeted range of 4 to 6%. He was speaking at the bank's quarterly monetary policy report on Friday.
The risk to inflation over the near term, which is the next year, are skewed to the downside, which means that inflation could be lower than we have highlighted here.
Mr. Biles says the downward revision is primarily driven by a lower trajectory for agricultural food price inflation.
Bank of Jamaica will remain focused on ensuring that inflation remains low, stable, and predictable within the target range of 4 to 6%, and will deploy additional measures as needed to ensure the continued smooth flow of liquidity to all participants in financial system.
Application for the Agriculture Ministry's Say Yes to Fresh backyard gardening program is now open until February 28 at midnight. The $10 million program will see 2,500 backyard gardening starter kits being distributed in efforts of encouraging backyard gardening in urban and suburban communities. Agriculture Minister Floyd Green is urging Jamaicans to visit the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA's website at rada.gov.jm to apply. Once the selection process is completed, the beneficiaries will be contacted and directed to pick up their packages at their RADA parish office. During Friday's launch at the Hart College of Construction Services in Portmore, St. Catherine, Agriculture Minister Floyd Green explained that the selection process would be open and transparent and beneficiaries selected on a first-come, first-served basis with the young and elderly given preference.
We're looking to say to our Jamaicans that through your backyard garden, you can have access to some of the foods that you consume, some of the foods that you like as a critical component of your family diet, and in that way also save costs. We're saying that you can increase your nutrition and your health and well-being by really participating in gardening and crop care.
Participating residents are being encouraged to devote a minimum space to produce 2 to 4 crops per year, including vegetables such as pepper, cabbage, tomato, callaloo, pak choi, as well as herbs. And finally, American airline JetBlue has issued an apology to the government and Jamaican people following the recent controversial actions of one of its employees. Chief Executive Officer of JetBlue Airways, Robin Hayes, conveyed the sentiments during a phone call with Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett recently. Mr. Bartlett said he was very heartened by the discussion with Mr. Hayes and looks forward to strengthening the relationship with the airline as JetBlue remains a valued tourism partner. During the discussions, it was also highlighted that the crew member has been suspended while the company continues its investigation. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.